So you just went on your first crabbing trip and you brought back a cooler full of crab, or you bought some live crab and you have no idea what to do with them next. Or maybe this isn't your first time, but you don't have a big fancy crab boiler, and cooking whole crab by itself takes forever. Maybe you've never cleaned a crab, or you have before, but you know cleaning whole crab can be super messy and just kind of a pain in the ass in general. Or maybe there's a part of you that dreads boiling the crab alive. Well, do I have a solution for you? I mean, we're still killing the crab, but this is the quickest and easiest, most humane way to dispatch, clean, and cook the tastiest delicacy that the Pacific Ocean has to offer. So let's get started. Starting with step 1, transporting. So one of the most important things when dealing with shellfish is making sure that before you clean it and cook it, that your shellfish is alive. You don't want to be eating crab that has already been dead, because that's where food poisoning comes into play, and you don't want to be crapping your brains out over some crab. So I'm going to go over my preferred method of transporting live crab, and another way that I used to do it. I don't do it anymore because it's kind of a pain in the butt, and what you shouldn't do to reduce your chances of having dead crab when you arrive home. So PK and I just got back from an awesome crabbing trip. We almost limited. If you want to watch that video, click up here. So I have a cooler full of delicious Dungeness crab. So it may look at first sight that this crab is dead, but it is not. It is basically asleep, but this crab is still very much alive. And this method that I use is kind of the first step in the humane process of dispatching of these Dungeness. So what I prefer to do is put the crab on ice. What this does is chills them to the point that they're basically not moving. They're kind of in a sleep state. Like I said, it looks like he's dead, but if you watch very closely the legs, you can still see him moving. It keeps them alive, but it pretty much just puts them to sleep, so they are kind of out of it through this whole process, which makes it even more humane. So you might be thinking, won't they die if they're not in water? That is actually the opposite. You do not want to fill your cooler or your bucket or whatever you're using to transport these crab with water, because that's how they suffocate and you have dead crab. There's only so much dissolved oxygen in the water, and after a while the crab are going to run out of oxygen and they're going to suffocate and die, and you're going to have a cooler full of dead crab. You don't want that. Unless you have an aerator or something to introduce more dissolved oxygen into the water, that is not the route to go. And plus, water's heavy. A gallon of water is 8 pounds, so you're adding 10 plus gallons to this cooler, and you're gonna have like 80 to 100 plus pounds of extra weight. So you and your back can thank me later. So something you'll see a crab out of water do is blow bubbles, and that's its way of breathing out of water. So as long as the gills of the crab are kept moist, it can survive out of water. That's why I use ice. Or another thing you can do is use damp newspaper, and you layer that over the crab, and that damp newspaper will keep the crab alive. It will keep their gills moist, and you'll see them blowing bubbles like I said, and that is another perfect way to transport live crab. So speaking of which, now that you know how to transport live crab so you don't kill them, let's hop into step number 2, which is humanely killing and cleaning the crab. Alright, so we're gonna go over the little setup I got right here. So all I need for this is a bucket, and then to be extra clean and efficient, I line the bucket with the garbage bag, and then I put garbage bags down below because this can be messy. But this is all you need. Just crack them on the side, shake them off, and you got yourself some crab legs. It's super easy. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do this, and then we're gonna bust through these crabs. So let's get started. All right, so now we have our dungie, we got our bucket. This is also another reason why I use ice, because their limbs get nice and floppy, so they're a lot easier to handle. Because if you're trying to do this while they're spry, they're gonna be pinching these claws right up here, and it's gonna be really hard to get your fingers underneath there to clean the way you need to. So how to clean these crabs the way I'm doing it, I'll show you how to hold them. So you both middle fingers under each side, and then the rest of your fingers hold onto the legs, and then your pointer fingers are gonna go on top, just like that. You're gonna get a nice firm grip. You're holding right on the edge of the bucket, and one swift motion, you're gonna go down, right down the middle of the crab, right down the apron in the center of the carapace, or center of the body, right down. 3, 2, 1. Might take a couple. He's dead now. Take both legs, twist one way, grab it, twist the other way, one quick shake, and boom, You got 2 pairs of crab legs, and you're gonna have the gills right there, and then the mouthpiece as well. Mouthpiece, that sounds weird, but just peel these gills off, throw them in the bucket. You don't need to cook those. And boom, there you go. You got 2 halves of the crab, bunch of crab legs and the claws, ready to go to drop in the boiler. I'll give you guys a couple different demonstrations from different angles. Sometimes it may take a couple slaps, but once you go straight down the body right here, he's done, he's out. So, ready, 3, 2, 1, done. Twist one way, twist the other, boom, you're done. And hey, if you're liking this information, this video is helping you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this, and you can see how we caught these. I'm trying to get more informational videos out to you guys every week so you can have more fun out on the water. Let's get to it. So the next step is the most exciting step, which is cooking the crab, because you are one step closer to eating. So I got my big pot here. Try to get the biggest pot you can get, but this is the biggest one I have. I do have a crab boiler, I just didn't feel like setting that up. If you have one of those, you are a lot smarter than I am right now. But this is the way to do it if you are in a pinch. If you don't have a crab boiler, we got our mountain of crab legs and crab bodies right there. And we're gonna wait for this to boil. We're gonna season the water up and we're gonna get cooking. So at this step, after cleaning, you can either start cooking right away or you can freeze your raw crab in the freezer. But I prefer cooking it then freezing it, because I found when I freeze and then cook that the meat tends to stick to the shell and it's a lot more annoying to eat. Rather than pulling out that perfect piece of crab, you're left scraping the shell. So if you can, I'd cook right away and then freeze. So while we wait for this to boil, let's go over the seasonings that we are gonna put in this crab. Seasonings are optional. You can do it however you want. You can add some lemons, some potatoes, whatever, but this is how I prefer it, and this is the best way I found to cook my crab. First seasoning is tahini. This is chili powder with some lime, citric acid, adds a nice flavor. Next, we got Tony's Creole seasoning. This is basically, if you don't have this, you can use Old Bay's, it's equivalent, but I really like this stuff lately, so we're throwing this in. And last is garlic salt. We're keeping this simple, 3 spices, but add some nice flavor to the meat and some heat, so let's get cooking. You boiling yet? Come on, bitch. Just about boiling, so we are going to add the seasonings, get it up to a rolling boil, and start throwing a crab in. The ideal cook time for crab is 15 minutes per pound. So we're gonna add 2 crab. That is going to be 4 halves of crab in here, and we're gonna cook it for about 10-15 minutes or until it seems like it's done. The crab's nice and orange and looks delicious. So the next thing I'm gonna do while I wait for this to cook is prepare an ice bath. And the ice bath is so once this is done cooking, you got it to its optimal cooking time. You throw in the ice bath so it prevents it from cooking further, because you don't want to overcook your crab because then it gets nice and chewy. Not nice and chewy, that was the wrong word. But it gets chewy and rubbery, and you don't want that because then that's a waste of a good Dungeness. Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? The reason that this way is a lot quicker is because when you're boiling a full crab, the carapace and all the guts and everything add quite a bit of weight. So technically you can only cook 1 at a time, which if you got a limit, that's 12 crab. 12 crab times 15 minutes, that's a long time. So when you do it like this, I have 2 crab in here at a time. You can, even if you have a bigger pot, you can fit a few more, and you're doing twice as many as you would do if you're boiling a whole crab before you dispatch it and you clean it the way I showed you. Sorry if it's distracting if I keep looking up. I have a monitor right here that's showing me what I'm doing. All right, so these crab are done cooking. I'm gonna pop them into the ice bath. We'll get started on the other stuff. All right, so we transported, we dispatched, cleaned, and cooked our crab. What's next, you ask? Well, the best part. Time to dig in. Get yourself a nice leg and enjoy the fruits of your labor. What's more beautiful than that? What's more beautiful than that sight is you. For hitting that subscribe button, I appreciate that. I hope this video helped you out today. Maybe you learned a few things, maybe something you didn't know, maybe something you already know. But whether or not You already knew what I taught you. I hope you enjoyed regardless. If you'd like to see another video kind of like this or anything else, let me know down in the comments. I'm open to suggestions. I hope you enjoyed once again. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to catch you or some crab or some fish, whatever next aquatic adventure we have. I hope you're there. Thanks a lot for watching. Peace out. I'm gonna eat. This took longer.